Alright, quick tour of my RV minivan conversion, which means RV means recreational vehicle. It's pretty nice out today, springtime. So I got my water, my coffee, probably get some of that. But yeah, I'm going to try to remember all the essentials here because I'm making notes. This is my first round, my first trip, and figuring out what I need and what I don't need. But anyway, you need to get yourself a butane grill. Pretty good to have. And I'll show you the van. Now here I'm running power from over here. There's a connection over here. So there's a power panel right there. So I'm running this extension cord for power because I want to power my cooler, which is now 19 degrees. And it's got ice. I put ice in there so it keeps it cold when it's not plugged in. And I had it off for about 4 to 6 hours yesterday. And it turned it back on. And it was still 40 degrees. So another thing I wanted to mention was this. I used this extra piece to put over the cooler. That way the cooler stays cool. So it'd be good, when this is in the center console, to keep this over it. I've seen somebody do that too on YouTube. Basically, it just keeps the cooler from working so hard. So when it's running off the battery, it doesn't have to work so hard. And I had an Arctic cooler, but it was a refrigerator one, and it just did not get cold enough. Food was somewhat cold, running all the time. So I bought a freezer, and this is a 16-quart freezer, $125 on eBay. Can't beat it for $125, and it's quiet too. You don't even hear it running. But yeah, anyway, I got my spices and my vitamins and stuff in here, which is normally going to go up there on that top level. Right now, I was on a music gig, so I have like a bunch of music gear in my front seat. So yeah, normally this front seat's not going to be like this, but at some point I'm going to flip this seat around. And I'm probably going to put this cooler in the middle like you see all the other videos. Though I love these cup holders here, and I do like this console, but I guess I'll make the sacrifice to have the food in there running. So yeah, I'll probably put the cooler in that middle console. But yeah, this is an 08 Toyota van. I had a Mazda SUV that I started to convert, and somebody hit me on the highway and totaled my car. And my friend was selling a minivan, so I guess I really needed a minivan anyway. And I'm pretty happy. This is an LXC. It's got the sunroof, so it's pretty nice. This CD player thing here is going to come out. Eventually, I'll put a RV fan in here, like a ceiling fan, and that will go up top here. I'm going to swap that radio out for a new Android radio. I just haven't done that yet because it requires some kind of high-end cable for camera and rear camera and all that. But yeah, I got my windshield blockers. I got more windshield blockers here. Here's my walk through here, which is just kind of a little crowded right now. But so I put this floor in. It's just basically a piece of plywood. And then I bought this rubber stuff on Temu because I like having a rubber floor. It's nice having a padded floor. I didn't want a hard floor, like a hardwood floor or vinyl floor, because I want to be comfortable when I'm walking in here on my knees and my feet. This is my floor. I had to space it out underneath. So I had to put a piece of wood there. I measured it with the distance. I laid the piece of wood down, and then I saw what the space was, and I measured it. And then over here I measured it. So it was like 1 inch, 2 inches. And then when I took the wood back out, I flipped it over and I screwed the wood in all the way across, and I made, you know, uh, shims all the way across, so that way it fills it in. I'm going to put another layer of plywood over this floor because it's still a little flimsy. I didn't realize that I was only using a 3-ply. I thought I was using my 4-ply, but I made a mistake, and I have another sheet of 4-ply. So basically just going to take this floor out, flip it over, draw the outline, and then put that piece on top, and I'll put this rubber floor back on. I didn't glue this down yet, but I will. I didn't fill these little gaps in because it's easier just to lay the 4x8 sheet long ways down. So basically, this is, I want to try to cover a lot of little details that they leave out. Things that I went, fine little details of doing things. Because, they'll show you the sink. They're like, yeah, this is my sink. This is how it works. That's it. They don't tell you how you build it, I mean, basically, I'm just going to talk about the fine little details because there was a lot of trial and error. And also, I bought a lot of things that I didn't need. So now I have a bunch of stuff that I don't need. Like like a bathroom thing. Bathroom pop-up so I could change clothes and everything outside. It's actually an outdoor shower thing, and then I have the bag that hangs, and it's outdoor nozzle. I don't know, it's in my back somewhere, but that's basically what that tent's for. It's an outdoor shower, which is, I guess, convenient if I figure it out. Um, and these are poles. These are poles that the tarp sits on, and basically you tie the tarp onto the rack, and then you have these sitting out here, and it just makes an awning that comes off the van. Makes an awning. So I don't have that set up yet because it's my first just trial run, and I'm only like 2 hours from my house, so it's not really like I'm way committed right now. But this is a good trial run, and the only way you're gonna figure this stuff out is to do what you got to do to get comfortable, and then just go out and camp somewhere close to your house, and then figure out what you need. So, like, the small details that I forgot I needed was hand soap, a coffee mug, paper towel holder, which I'm going to have my paper towel holder up there hanging, garbage bag. I made notes of what I needed. I needed some cardboard cutouts for my windows. I do have this. I bought a roll of that on Temu. It's pretty thick. It's like a fire blocking heat shield. So I'll glue this to some cardboard cutouts and I'll make that for all my windows. I have more of a roll of this stuff in my little cutout here. So when I laid this floor down, I know I'm jumping all over the place, but I basically just left my compartment open, and this goes way down there. So this is where your seats normally sit for your Toyota, but yeah, that just sits in there. And what I did is I just screwed pieces of wood, strips of wood underneath my outline so that it's flush. So hopefully I covered that detail, because they don't tell you about these things. These guys are professionals and they go and they show you all these nice build outs and you're like, how do you do that? They show you the outline, so that's my outline. I got my holes so I can just pull it up, so yeah, it's pretty nice. So I just strips of wood, screwed them in with screws that didn't come through the top, and it's pretty secure. It'll be really secure with another sheet over it. And I'll just do the cutout again, and I'll have two pieces together. So yeah. And that's my sink. And the sink I had to build custom, obviously. The shelf I had to build custom. And basically I built it all out as a box. I put blocks of wood in there to hold the pieces together. See? So you can't just screw a screw into here, into this part. It'll just come apart. It'll split. I use threaded screws. They're self-drilling screws. They don't tell you this stuff, but I use self-drilling screws. Self-drilling drywall screws. Okay? You can get shorter ones, but basically I use these for everything. So that way when you're drilling into the wood, it doesn't split the wood. It'll drill a hole as the screw's going in. You can get shorter ones for these type of things. I bought these because they were on clearance or sale for $5. They're normally $10 a box. So I got some battery terminals in here, which I'll show you. We'll get to that. But yeah, basically this is my build out shelf here. Some personable stuff up there. I would like to have my spices up here at some point. But yeah, that's how I built this too. I just this one I didn't use blocks for. I screwed it together with wood screws. They're small little wood screws. They're only like, so long. But yeah, basically I put this box together. And so I put the box together. Before I screwed it all together, I drew a square outline and I cut it with a jigsaw. What you do is you drill a hole where your lines meet in your corners. Okay, you drill a hole and then you run the jigsaw from hole to hole. And that's how you make a hole perfectly. So, and then I made the box. It was a lot of trial and error. I made the platform bigger than the bottom so it sits. And there's a little bit of an overhang on that side because there's no floor all the way to the door. But I just ran a screw on this side and I ran a screw on this side in my wooden floor, because I have a wooden floor. And there's a big gap, so it's not actually hitting the floor. And all this stuff comes out in 5 minutes. So you can completely take all this stuff out of here in 5 minutes. Even that entire shelf there with all the lights on it, it's all self-isolated. So we'll get to that. But yeah, this is my sink. This is your pump. Got my pump back there. And I made a hole on the other side of that box too, so I can get to that from that side. I left this solid And I left that solid. And you see how I marked my sides? So once I made my pieces of wood, I marked which one was. That's the side, that's the side, this is the front, that's the back. And they each have arrows, you know? So I knew where to put the wood to line it up. And basically, my sink drains out here into this bucket, but I do have this that attaches to run out. I can run it out there, or I can take this entire sink out in like a minute and put it on the ground and use it outside. And I'm eventually going to get a piece of wood that folds out, so I have a work table or a kitchen table with a sink for outside, or I'll make it so it folds out in here. But basically that is the idea. I'll probably be on the back side where a piece of wood goes out, so it's like double this size or something, or a piece of wood here or there. And for now, and once in the van, I'll just sit down folding with the piano hinge, probably over here. It would make the most sense. So there, it just sits there. And when it's in the van, and when I pull it out, I'll have a fold-out table right there. So, but yeah, and then it just drains out into this bucket for now. That's a 6-gallon or 5.5-gallon camping jug. Yeah, and then I just ran the hose from the water pump, which you can get the water pump for like $35 on Amazon, eBay. It's 12-volt pump, and basically I put a they're called barbed tees, a barb tee, and I think it's like 3/8 or ½ inch. It's 3/8 or 5/8. They come in all different sizes. Your sink faucet's different than your bathtub faucet, so this stuff gets really detailed. But yeah, that's a barb tee, and I just cut the hose. I cut the hose that runs to this, and basically, see, it's got water. There's a switch that I put on the back here, and it pumps the water in. I don't leave it on. The pump will shut off with the switch on, but I'd rather just have the pump off all the time. So I put a switch in manually. I'll show you where the switch is, but basically, yeah, so that's my sink. I bought the sink in the faucet separate, which was a nightmare. I bought this sink for like $20, $30 off some guy. They pulled it out of doctor's offices or whatever. This was a grilled inside thing. I put this in, but I had to drill that out. So that's a nightmare. You don't want to get involved in that. Your best bet is to buy a sink that comes with a faucet and a drain all together, a stainless steel sink. This is like a 15 by 17. Okay. Buy everything together. Don't do it separate like I did. It's a nightmare. Make your life easy. It cost me more in just parts than it did the sink. So it's better. I do like this overhang though. It's nice. And that sits in there, but I had a bunch of modifications I had to do because it didn't line. I had it lined up, but then my wall was right where my hole was. It's not how I wanted it, but that's how it ended up. Anyway, that's my sink. That's how the water works. And I got my top here, countertop. And then this thing, I'll show you the other side of the sink real quick. So this comes out. Obviously, I just made it so that. Here's my water pump. Here's the water pump. There's the hose that feeds into the tank. You pull water out of it. There's a well right here that I'm going to get water from before I leave. But yeah, I basically had to drill all this out because it didn't line up right. My wall was supposed to be out here, and somehow I screwed that up. So, but yeah, I had to recut this out and fit this, and that wasn't easy. That's the switch. It's a basic, light switch, turns the circuit off and on. And yeah, So that's how it works. You know, and your switch goes here. Now this, I put a plug on there, and then that extension cord runs to my battery. But yeah, this is pretty nifty. And that plug runs to right here. So I got my extension cord right here. Yep. And there's the plug. And it plugs into here, and then it's just a cut extension cord that I wired to these cables, to these terminals. Here's the terminals for the inverter, 750 watt inverter. So I have power here for my pump and power here for things I want to plug in, which you're not going to run much off 750 watts, but you'll run enough basically. And then I have an EcoFlow 350, which is pretty good, lights my lights up. So at night, this is really good to have. Got my light here and charging station. So I have two sources of power. I have this Eco, and I have a battery and an inverter. I have a charger that charges the battery, like a starter charger that I can plug in when I have power to recharge the battery. I don't have solar connected to this yet, but I will. But for now, I can just plug this in and charge it. But yeah, basically, without nothing running, I probably have like 20 hours on there. It's okay. It runs minor things. It'll charge your phone, laptop, run some minor lights. But when you turn that 110 on and run a coffee pot, it says it has like 6 hours, something like that. It's not very much. And when I put this floor in, by the way, there's blocks of wood underneath here to hold it up, as you can see. So I basically laid the piece of wood in there, and then, you know, I put the pieces of wood underneath. I measured what I needed, and I stuck the pieces of wood under there through my hole and screwed it in. So that's my power supply. I built this thing basically piece by piece. I built the box, you know, did my cutouts, did my sides, did my front, built my top. This wasn't easy to get it to fit in this window, but I did it. It fits in the window. So, but yeah, there's a lot more work to do. It just takes a little bit of time. But yeah, that wasn't easy to build out either. You can email me. I'll put my email in there if you need help trying to figure out how to build one of these. But basically, I just built this thing, and then I measured from there to there. I cut my pieces of wood, and then, you know, I took cardboard and I cut it, put it in the window and cut it out. So I knew how to make the top for this, and I did the same thing with cardboard up there, and I made my top for that. And then I obviously measured this and I screwed it all together, but it didn't go in there too well. I had to cut it even more to get in there because when it's higher up to put in, it doesn't sit right. And then this piece, this only has one screw in right here. It actually sits in the cup holder. So there's blocks of wood in there that fit in the cup holders. So it holds this table together. But yeah, that's basically how that hole sits in there. And you just lift it up and it comes out. And these lights are all wrapped around. They're fairy lights on Amazon. They're like $3 or something, a few dollars. But it's really long. It's like 50 feet long or some ridiculous amount of wire. It's probably 25 feet long, at least. Probably more than that, 30, 40, I don't know. I just kept wrapping it around and around and around. I got a little fan plugged in up here that runs off that. It says I have 66 hours now. But I'm going to turn it off for now just to save it. All right, well, that covers the sink. That covers the countertop, vanity, whatever. I got room for everything in here. And eventually I'm going to put a frame behind the front seats or something, hang curtain rods. I'll hang curtain rods over here probably. And then I just took a single, obviously 8-inch foam or 10-inch foam, and I cut it in 3 pieces. I built a couch bed thing, but it didn't really work out well. It's too high for this van. I had it for my SUV, so good, which is laying on the floor and working on the floor because it's padded. I'll eventually put that rubber stuff over here too. But yeah, this is just the 3 pieces of foam. I marked them to say foot, feet, see feet, back side, and bottom side. And then you just take this piece of foam and lay it there. You take that piece of foam and lay it there on the end. Yeah, and you basically just take a single 12-inch, 10-inch mattress memory foam and cut it, divide it in pieces like 20 something inches, 17 inches, or 16 inches, and then you cut the feet off. And basically you just stick it all in here like that, and then you have a couch. I think I covered everything for now. But I'll make another video to follow up. When I don't have all my music equipment in here too, I'll have more room. But yeah, that's basically it for now. That's the RV build out. I'll try to get more details next video on things, but there's a lot of details. I tried to cover little details like the screws and how to measure things and put blocks of wood in there. But eventually this will get better and better. Like I said, this is a trial run, and it's a work in progress. That's basically it. I did the dashboard thing. There's my build out again. Stuck everything in there. I cut a hole here because there's a compartment in the side door that it goes way deep down. So it's a nice little storage area. But yeah, it'll be nice to have a big old fan blowing through here to keep the bugs from coming in through, and a nice cool breeze running all the way through here all the time, Basically sucking air and blowing air through here would be great. That's going to be awesome in the summer. The other thing I wanted to add was I'm going to get a tarp with a doormat right here. So when you step out, there's a tarp down here with a doormat. So in case it's raining or muddy or just dirty, you have something to step on and then put your shoes on. So I forgot to mention that, and then I'll get a tarp for my awning. And yeah. The other thing I have is some rolls. There's some storage under here, which is good. You can stick things in there, but this is black tint that stick on and pull off from my windows. So I got that too. I haven't used that yet. Yeah, so basically dish soap and hand soap would be good to have. And your best friend is going to be wet naps. So if you can get a whole bunch of wet naps, wherever those are, they're somewhere in here. All different kinds of wet naps. Flushable ones, non-flushable ones. They'll be your best friend. Yeah, so I'm a touring musician, so I have drums and more drums and wires and toolboxes and stands, and I have all this stuff with me. Basically crates of equipment. So basically I found a small trailer. It's a little mini trailer that'll sit right here. It's, I don't know, a 5x4 or something like that, or 5x6. Basically, I'll be able to put everything in there and just tow it right from here. And then I won't have any of this stuff in here anymore. And then at some point, I want to put some roof racks up here. Rhino racks make the best roof racks. You don't want to use these cheap factory things. I've had these come off before. They seem secure, but they're not. They don't take a lot of weight. So I want to get something nice, heavy duty, square bar, Rhino rack. Put that up here. Put a 100-watt, 200-watt solar panel up here to connect to my power supply. And basically pretty good. So have a nice roof rack and have a nice trailer to pull everything in and be good to go. So the other thing I'm going to do for power is there's holes underneath this truck. There's one right there. It's a plug. And there's another plug right there, if you can see it. Basically, I'm going to run a cord, extension cord, have it coming out, hanging here, just propped right there. And basically, I'll have an extension cord running through that hole to here and just have a cord dangling here, like at the end of an extension cord. And then right there, I'll put an outlet in. I'll cut an outlet and put an outlet in there and have power. So when I come to a connect like this, I can just run a cord right here and boom, now I got power for my power supply in here to charge my power supply. And then I'm going to run a piece of Romex electrical wire underneath the floor to over here in my center console down on the floor down here. And then I'll have my electric cooler plugged in there. So I'm at a campsite with electric. All I do is just tie in the back. And now I have power to my cooler and I have power to my power supply to charge that up. So yeah, but that's cool to have a quick connect like that. And then I'll have electric running through my van. That way I don't have to run an extension cord through my window, as you can see. But yeah, this is basically, you won't be able to read that on camera, but that's me. That's what I do. So yeah, I had an extension cord running through here last night because you can't leave the doors open because the battery will die. So you don't want to do that. If your battery dies, then you can't start the car. And in case my battery does die, I have one of those jump start packs that's in my storage unit in here. So yeah, basically, if I ever get stranded, I have that. I have a jump start pack. I have a battery starter. I have a fix-a-flat air pump thing in case I get something in my tire. I can repump the tire up without having to use the spare. If I need the spare drops down underneath here, underneath the van. There's a mechanism in there that you turn and it drops the tire down. And I actually have a crossbar in my storage unit, like one of those big crossbars that pull the lugs off, because you don't want to try to use one of those ones that they give you for the cars. You want a heavy duty crank that you can crank and get the lugs off. You have to take the tire off. So yeah, that's basically it. And I put this tow hitch on here. It's basically 6 screws, 3 and 3 on each side. It wasn't easy to get in there, but I got it in there. The muffler gets in the way, and you have to be professional to get a muffler gasket off to drop the muffler down. So there's 2 gaskets to drop the muffler down. So it is not an easy thing to do. I could not get the gaskets off. You can use WD-40 to adjust to slide it off, but then it's really hard to get back on. You basically need a car lift to put a tow hitch on. I did it without a car lift. I basically just took some ratchet straps and tied to a tree and to pull my muffler out of the way to get that tow hitch in there. All right, well, I'm trying to cover every detail about this, and I'll shoot more. And the other thing I'm going to do about this outlet, when I put this outlet in here, is my power supply that's back here. I will make a double-ended cord with 2 males on it, and basically be able to run my male from my power supply and plug it into my switch, or my outlet here, which will feed electric over to my cooler there. So my cooler will have power running off my power supply here, as well as if I want to run the patch cable that I'm going to make with 2 males on both ends, I can plug it in my inverter and plug it into the outlet, and it'll also feed that. So there's all kinds of things you can do for electric. So basically, and then when you have solar plugged on the roof, run into the power supply there, and then you'd be feeding the electric up there. So yeah, there's all kinds of cool ideas you can do with just to have power all around your van. And then when I'm driving and I want my cooler to stay plugged in and use the car battery while the car is running, that's my plug there. This is lights, LED lights. Here's the LED lights at night. They're all lit up. They're under here. There's the wire. So yeah, so that's, it's nice to have LED lights. But yeah, that's my battery car charger, or my lighter input from my cooler, which my cooler will be sitting here. But basically, got 2 plugs here. Right now it's running off power from the power source, which can be my power supply or the inlet at the campground. And now I'm about to head out And I'm going to take this wire and I'm going to plug it in here, and now it'll run off my car. So it's an easy switch. Couple quick notes about buying an older van if you decide to get a minivan or an older car in general. Talk about some of the things that I went through with this van when I got it. It was supposed to be in perfect condition, but obviously a used van will come with a few issues to take care of. So far, in the past 2 months, right now you want to check your fluids, make sure there's fluid in your overflow tank. And right here, when you first buy a used car, make sure you look at this, because this cap is plastic, and if it's old from the original manufacturing cap, mine cracked and leaked all my radiator fluid out, and I was stalled out. I was stranded, but I got towed and I got it taken care of. So it's something to keep in mind. Make sure your fluids are good. Make sure you got washer fluid. Just check all your fluids and look at everything. Make sure that your hoses don't look old or cracked or frayed. Look at your battery terminals. Make sure you don't have acid leaking out or corrosion that could cause you to be stranded when your car won't start because of that. Make sure your air filter is pretty good. All right, now that I've closed the hood, so that was the problem. One of the problems I had, that the fluid was leaking out slowly. I saw the water in my driveway and ignored it, and then my car overheated, and I popped the hood, and the hose exploded. So luckily it was a cheap fix, and I got off easy on that one. Updated the headlights. They are LED halogen white lights, or the LED white lights. They're not the old yellow amberish looking lights. So I got some new lights in there. Gonna put fog lights in here. These pop out and you put fog lights in there. So those are nice to have. The older Toyotas don't have them, the newer ones do, or the limited editions do. This is an LXE, so it is fully loaded. It's got nice rims, Goodyear tires. Now what I did here is we replaced all the rotors and drums and brake pads. So I got 4 slotted rotors, and ceramic brake pads. As you can see, slotted rotors. So when you're going downhill and you got all this weight, you don't want your brakes getting hot. Basically, you want them to stay cool. So these are essentially racing rotors for cars that are going really fast and have to stop short. I'm missing a plug hose from my tire. But yeah, basically slotted rotors with ceramic brakes. You get them on eBay. Replaced all the rotors on this car. So that way when I'm going downhill and I'm able to stop with all this weight in the van, it's pretty good to go. Had to replace both CV axles in the front. Both CV axle boots were all leaked out and dried out. I heard them clicking. If you turn your wheels and your car is clicking in the front, then that is your CV axles. When we did the CV axles, we found out that the calipers need to be replaced. So there's new calipers in there. And the only thing I didn't replace so far is the struts, which, so the struts and the suspension. That's another thing that goes on these Toyotas, the old Toyotas. So I'm going to have to eventually replace the struts and the suspension. But for now, the suspension's holding up. But yeah, I talked about the tow package already. And yeah, so far, everything seems to be good. The van's running pretty good. The other problem I have is the heat only works on half of the car. Sometimes it works on all of the car. But there's a door inside. There's like a door underneath here. In here somewhere, when you pull this out, you'll see there's a thing that spins in here and opens your other half of your vents. So that gets stuck and only allows heat to come through one side. Other than that, so far so good.